Yo, Longhairs, welcome to Let It Ride. This is episode 88, and we're running mates. El Moreno, and myself, El Rubio, and this is a place for guys growing their hair. We publish hair tips and tactics, advocate for hair equality, and celebrate men's long manes with hair whips and high fives. Our guest on today's show is a big-time hair guy, which means he's our guy. He's a content creator, YouTube personality, and men's style and grooming professional, offering everything from social media growth tips to style tips and even content creation tutorials. He wants you to succeed and look good doing it. He's been featured on the Longhairs blog on multiple occasions and soon to be many more, diving deep into the science and the research, sharing everything he knows about how to build your personal brand and turn it into a business. He's not holding anything back, except his hair when he's eating spaghetti. He is the style man with the dialed mane. Woo! He is Trav White. Trav, welcome to Let It Ride, man.
What's up? I feel like I'm getting in the octagon to fight somebody in the UFC or something.
Dude, yeah. Fired up.
Thanks for having me, guys. This is a blast.
Heck yeah.
You are in Austin. We are in San Diego, able to do this one remotely, as has been the trend here in 2020. But let's not keep the boys waiting. Let's just kick it off with a quick hair update. Notice today you have it down. You got a wash in recently. What was the plan coming into today's big show?
Well, I knew coming into this show that it had to be like fresh out of the wash. You know, I didn't want it to look too greasy. Didn't want to look too frizzy. So I was like, all right, I gotta come into this representing my long-haired manes and my fellow brothers. So wanted to have it fresh.
Great
see
strategy.
If it works out for him, Cotton.
We'll see. We still got a long way to go here in the podcast. Hey, man. So, all of us, after we wash and do our condition, maybe that like first day after isn't really like the most ideal. It's kind of like the second, maybe third, where the hair is really like prime time. Like, you're just doing everything you want. What's that for you? Like where do you fall in that post-wash, day where it's really nice working for you?
Well, for me, it depends on, cause my hair routine, like, kind of fluctuates week to week. I do a clarifying wash, like once every 4 weeks. I'll do, like a really deep cleanser wash. And then in between those, I just use like a more gentle shampoo and conditioner, like a daily, well, not daily. I wash like probably every 4 or 5 days. But in between the clarifying wash, I use a gentler shampoo and conditioner. And on the days where I use my gentle one, next day, like kind of how it is now, like it's how it's doing everything I wanted to do. It's rocking. It probably is, a little too fresh to like really get a nice bun going or put it up into a nice, maybe half bun or something like that. Or highball, as the Longhairs brothers call it.
Yeah.
But after my clarifying wash, the next day it's usually very, very clean. It's like squeaky clean almost. And because I got just any products maybe that had silicones in it or anything that I'd used kind of throughout those 3 weeks, like they're just stripped, they're gone. So it's really squeaky clean the next day. And then by day 2, by day 3, my sebum, my natural oils are starting to kick in, and it's really nice, and I can do pretty much anything I want with it, and it looks nice.
Yes, man, that's a great topic that we have not covered over here, and that's a clarifying shampoo. And I'm kind of right with you, 4 or 5 days, sometimes stretch it to 6 or 12, you never know. But by that time, or even especially after 3 of those cycles, a nice clarifying, deep cleansing shampoo will just get rid of all that stuff that's built up over the longer period of time. I love it personally. I was pumped when I heard you mention it in one of your videos, and I think it's something that we need to cover because, like I said, we really haven't touched on it much.
It's also really good for guys who are trying to fight like greasy, oily hair, or they got like oily roots and dry ends, because if you look at any men's hair YouTube channel or any, the majority of channels are, and even blogs and men or women's blogs now are all advocating for sulfate free, sulfate free, sulfate free. And like, yeah, I agree. Like, you should use sulfate free most of the time. But if you got really greasy hair, having a once a month sulfate cleansing wash could be really good for fighting off that oil and grease just kind of from your natural sebum production. So like, I don't like making these absolute statements on you should always do this or you should never do this. I think it really does come down to context. It comes down to like the nuance and the individual and their specific situation. And that's when I would recommend a sulfate.
Yeah.
Well said, man. It's not a one size
Totally.
fits all. And there could be good opportunities like those when a sulfate shampoo could be particularly useful. And I mean, we have been making hair content for a long time, but impressively, when we go over to your YouTube channel in particular, as well as your other platforms, you have a website, Instagram, we'll and a Facebook group. We'll touch on those a little bit more later. But you have a broad, just a depth of excellent content on hair. But you started out in style and kind of men's confidence and personal development before you got into the long hair. Just bring us up to speed a little bit and tell us how you got into content creation and style and personal development and how that's led you into the long hair game.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a long story. Where to start? We got time? We have time?
We got time.
We want to hear it, man.
Well, okay, let's go back to high school then.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I was in high school, I was a huge band geek. I was a band nerd. I played trumpet. I marched in the marching band.
Nice.
And like I was super into music but like the orchestral type of music. But I had a really big problem, and that was my popularity was not that big in school. Just basically being a band geek. Excuse me, being a band geek, I did not get the ladies, let's just say that. and it was especially at football games when, I'm marching at halftime and then walking back to the stands with my trumpet, and you see all the cheerleaders and the football players, they're all heading off to the Whataburger, which is a Texas thing. I don't know if you guys have Whataburger in San Diego, but it's really popular in the South, and they would all go to Whataburger to hang out. And then I'm over here going to the big yellow school bus to take me back to the band hall where like my mom picks me up in her minivan and like takes me home. So I was like, all right, I need to, this is not the image that I want to have in high school. And I honestly kind of let it get to me, and I started pursuing, and I was also a soccer player, so I wasn't like a total band geek, but soccer wasn't a big athletics. Like it was football and basketball and baseball. Those are the big three at my school.
Yeah.
But I quit band, and like that's how much I let it get to me, which is not, looking back on it now, is one of my biggest regrets, because I love playing music still. But at the time I had quit, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to start working out. I'm going to put on muscle. I'm going to change how I dress. Like I literally just started changing everything about my image. And it really didn't start paying off until college. Once I graduated and I got into college, I started to put a little more muscle on. I started to dress in a way that, were more fitted. Things would fit me a little bit better. And I wasn't wearing all these baggy clothes. And one day I had a friend come up who, she worked for a bridal company, and they were doing a big fashion show at the Bridal Extravaganza in Houston. And she's like freaking out. She comes up to me. She's like, oh my gosh, like this guy, this model, he just dropped out of the show, and like we have no one to replace him last minute. Like, can you please fill in for him? And I was like,
boom, opportunity.
Yeah,
I've never modeled in my entire life. Like I have no, like, you want me to walk a runway? Like what am I doing? She's like, no, it's fine. Like the bride, she's the star of the show. Like literally you're just going to stand there in a tuxedo and just not do anything. And everyone's gonna be looking at her. I was like, Beautiful. Let's do it. So I ended up going to this show, and I did exactly that. I stood there and like let the bride walk up and down the runway, and like, it was fine. Nothing happened. But the other guys there were like signed models, and they asked me, they're like, "Oh, I've never seen you before. Like, who's your agent? Who are you represented by?" And I was like, "Nobody." I have no idea what that question even means.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh my gosh, like you could model. You need to go to this agency and go to an open call." And so this kind of started my journey with fashion modeling.
Okay.
And I took it as far as I could. Like I ended up going to the agency ended up sending me to New York to meet with New York agencies. And I was probably around 21, 22 at this time. Like I was getting ready to graduate college, and I had an internship with an oil and gas company, and I had a job lined up. And here I am, like trying to decide, do I want to pursue this modeling thing in New York, or do I want to go and get a job and work in a cubicle and do my 9-to-5 thing? Well, Destiny decided to give me the answer for me, because I went to New York and I met with a bunch of agencies, and I would basically, all of them said no. And I had one who reluctantly said yes, but I was like, you know what? Like, if you're going to reluctantly say yes, I'm probably not going to get a whole lot of work, and I'm going to decline. And I didn't honestly have the best experience meeting with people in the industry either. It seemed very toxic. In terms of like politics and playing like quid pro quo and having to do favors for people to get, to move up and get the casting and then shoot with this amazing photographer and then get on the cover of this magazine. Like, it was very, just not an industry where I felt like it was blurring the lines of like what my values were, and like what I was willing to do to kind of move up. And so I'm really glad that I had that experience, one, because now I'll never ask like, what if? Like, I know I went and I tried and it didn't work out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's great.
and so I'm really glad that I had that experience. And I ended up coming back to Houston. I ended up taking that job and then working on fashion as my side hustle. So that was my content creation side hustle. I just was like, you know what? I don't need an agent. I don't need to model for any brands or be on billboards or walk runways. Like, let me just try putting together outfits for Instagram and just see how that goes. And this was probably in 2015, 2014. I was 24 now. So this is like a year later when I was kind of doing this. And it started kind of blowing up out of nowhere. And I got featured on a bunch of like big fashion pages on Instagram, and things just started taking off, and I quickly realized I had no clue what I was doing. Like I was like, how am I going to make money from this? Like, is this a business? Is this a hobby? Like, I'm not monetizing. Like, what? I can't keep just doing this for fun and then work my full-time job. But I knew like, okay, well, there's obviously something here. I just need to figure out how to navigate this and how to turn it into a business. And it was at that point that I reached out to this guy who was killing it on YouTube and killing it on his website. His name was Antonio Centeno from realmenrealstyle.com. And he's got a really big YouTube channel still to this day. And I just I stumbled on his website and I was like, okay, this guy has turned it into a business. He's teaching men how to dress well. And he's teaching them on his website, on YouTube, and he is selling the style course. And this guy knows what he's doing. And I noticed that he didn't have that nice of an Instagram channel. And so I sent him an email basically offering to like audit his Instagram for free. And I would like, show him what I did to grow my Instagram. And he ended up, several emails back and forth until he finally responded, but I ended up getting on the phone with him. And one thing kind of led to another. And I ended up writing a couple guest posts for his blog, for his website. Never having written before, besides maybe like a few like articles on my own website that I had just started.
It's nice. So it's a gig right there.
Yeah, exactly. So I did that for a couple of weeks, and then he ended up calling me back, asking me if I wanted to write for him, like full time, like be a ghostwriter for his website. And I was like, you know what? I'm not like writing is not something I'm trying to pursue. I really want to make my own, turn this into a business for myself. He's like, well, you know what? I'm also hiring for a content manager. Is that something you'd be interested in? And I was like, okay, that's really interesting. So I ended up, applying for that position and leaving my full-time gig at BP. I was working at BP full-time, like all the bells and whistles, like salary, health benefits, 401k. Like I was very secure, and I ended up jumping ship. I jumped from a yacht to like this little lifeboat. I decided to work for
holding it.
Yeah. I was like, you know what? Because this guy has built a very successful business, and I can learn a lot from him. And I just valued the education that I was going to get a lot more than the paycheck at the time. And so I ended up working for him for 3 years, and it was, to this day, the most invaluable experience I've ever had. Like I learned so much about copywriting, about content creation, about YouTube headlines and thumbnails, about, building funnels and selling products, information products, physical products, like all of that. And now that kind of took me to where I am now. I started creating my own fashion content. I started getting sponsorships, bringing in income. And then that's kind of where I am now, except I started creating long hair content when I grew my hair out. I grew my hair out probably 2 years ago. And as I started pursuing YouTube a lot more, I was just creating all different types of content. I was creating, photography content, because I got really good at photography. I was creating how to build a personal brand. I was creating fashion content, how to dress well, confidence. And then one of my long hair videos ended up going viral or semi-viral. It went pretty viral for me, at least. And it did really well. And I said, okay, there's definitely something here. Guys are interested in growing their hair out. They're interested in long hair. Yeah. How can I pursue this more? And I was like, well, what are my strengths? I'm a really analytical guy. I like to see the evidence. I'm a skeptic. I'm pretty skeptical. I question things. And so I was like, you know what? Like, there's no one putting content out for men about like the science of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And most channels I saw were just very general tips, and they're still good tips, but they're just pretty general. And I was always asking, like, well, is that true? Like, why? I just kept asking why for a lot of these things. So then I started diving into the research, diving into cosmetic science, diving into dermatology, diving into different journals, and just started putting content out. And that's kind of how I got from a wannabe fashion model to a long hair YouTuber now today.
Dude, well summarized and succinctly for the breadth of time covered there. Impressive. But,
thanks.
Pretty awesome path, dude. Just getting your chops, figuring it out, kind of tutoring under a really skilled professional, learning everything along the way, but always
and absorbing it all too.
Yeah.
So that you can apply it later.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I told that story in like 15 minutes, but that was like 5 years of that I'll never ever like regret. It was just very invaluable to me.
Yeah, dude, that's it's awesome to hear your story, kind of your path to the long hair community, if you will. We have kind of a similar, I mean, we took a totally different like steps and everything, but very similar along those lines of like really just, taking a chance, going for something, and then just kind of finding your way because of the things you took a chance on. Like you said, jumping into that life raft, like, that was a risk. And then look where it's got you now. And then who knows what's going to happen in the future. I really love watching your videos. I love your focus on the science, on the details. You're really good at explaining it too. And I think you're right, man. You have found that, that was definitely a niche that was missing. I mean, we've tried to dig into that, but we have not gone as deep as you have on your content pieces. El Rubio,
Yeah,
you know,
it's a
he,
lot of work, right?
yeah,
It's
no,
like
for
you
sure.
guys are running a business over there. You guys are selling products. You guys are, putting out, kind of those tongue-in-cheek, funny videos. Like diving into the research, you would need like someone that's like their full-time job. Like that would be because it
Yeah,
is a lot of work.
totally.
It's not.
It's
Yeah.
an enormous effort because you have to take the information and gather it, and then you need to synthesize it and put it back out into meaningful messages that can be interpreted by your audience. So I found watching your videos a lot. We've done a fair bit of hair education and learned a lot of the science, but it's a whole nother level to be able to illustrate it for your audience in writing or in video. And so I would find myself watching your videos and say, oh man, I remember that. Or, oh yeah, dude, this is right on. But seeing it all with the charts and the takeaways and the pull quotes and things just creates a really excellent educational environment. And I think your videos just bring a huge amount of knowledge, but still from that long hair perspective from one of the guys.
And yeah, exactly. That's just what I was going to add there. Yeah. Getting it out there for the guys because, I think it's hard. It's not hard to talk to our audience, but it is hard to keep them engaged on the depth of the tech stuff you go into, and you do though. Yep. And that's what I really like about what you're doing. And I think that's why you got something special going on.
Thanks.
Totally
Because for this information, you either have to do the research yourself, or to be honest, women's beauty channels have a lot of this information as well.
Yeah.
Totally. But your everyday guy is not going to go watch women's beauty channels.
Yeah.
And I do, because they're actually incredibly smart when it comes to this stuff. And I've learned a lot from their channels. And but I'm like, okay, how can I say this in like a way that's easy to digest, that's more targeted towards men? And I was like, there's not a whole lot of channels out there doing that. And that's sort of where I wanted to come in and say, okay, this is the science of it. This is how you can sort of simplify it. And it's still complex stuff. Like it's not like you can just have all of the answers after watching one video or reading one study. Like it is, it's a cosmetic science, people get degrees and stuff, and chemists formulate products based on chemistry. It can get complex for sure.
Yeah. Now, what are some things you're kind of picking up from your audience and the Facebook group you've created? There's a lot of action on both of those platforms for you. But what are you seeing like from the guys out there in the community that like where they're missing, where their biggest problems are? Like where, what are the repeat questions that you keep coming up for you?
Yeah. That's a great question, because most of the questions I get need a follow-up question before I can give them an answer. Mm-hmm. It's like, I have, what's the best shampoo? It's like, well, yeah. What's your hair type? Do you have dry hair? Do you have oily hair? Do you have frizzy hair? Do you have curly hair? Do you have straight hair? There's a lot of variables before I can answer that question. Which is why I created a hair type PDF for guys that they can download and just kind of fill in the blank and write down what their hair type is. And that's actually been really helpful, because now guys will come and ask the question. They'll say, hey, I have 2A, thin density, fine hair, dry scalp. Like, what's the best shampoo for me? And now I can be like, oh, okay, so this is much easier to explain. This is probably, you should look for something with like a more gentle surfactant. You don't want anything too harsh. You want something more moisturizing. You don't want too heavy of oils if you have thin hair. You want something that's going to be more volumizing, so lighter weight products, water-based products. And so a lot of the questions that I keep getting more and more of are just like, they want a really fast, absolute answer. Yeah. They want the one size fits all solution. They're like, I have dandruff. What do I do? And it's like, well, is it dry scalp or is it seborrheic dermatitis? Like
30-minute answer.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Mm-hmm. So I think the thing that I keep running into are people wanting really fast results, and when actually there's kind of a lot of context that needs to be uncovered before I can give them a straight answer.
Yeah, that's great, man. Hey, and thanks for taking the time and doing that for the guys out there.
Yes. Equally grateful over here.
That's awesome that the guys have someone who's putting in those type of time into their questions.
And it's a thankless, what do you get in response? You're gay on your YouTube comments. Or
Look at this woman with
haters,
a beard who wears too much eyeliner. Which, by the way, guys, I don't wear eye makeup. It's just my eyes are just beautiful. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sounds like you've gotten that question a couple of times. It's a thankless pursuit into the depth, into the science. Hey, speaking of the haters, this illustrates just another really fascinating and profound similarity that we have, and that lies in the consistency of our message. And you reached out to us several months ago for a collaboration video with the Longhairs and several other long hair or fashion style YouTube personalities. And we ended up with just what I thought was a kick-ass collaboration.
Yeah.
And even though each group or person had their own personality and their own delivery and their own kind of persona and character, the messages were stunningly similar. And that we all are here and providing for our community, offering confidence, trying to inspire confidence in the guys who are watching our channels. And I was just blown away by the final effort and how closely all the messages were aligned.
Even how different everyone is, though, too.
Yes. Thomas in action.
And everybody brought their own personality, their own sort of, like, what do you call it? Energy. I have way more of a chill vibe when I'm talking, and then you guys over here like, oh yeah, and you're like doing and flipping your hair around. It's like I loved the sort of juxtaposition and everybody bringing their own personality to it. I thought it turned out really, really good. Yeah,
totally, man. Sure.
Great concept, great idea. And in our kind of experience over here, we were aware of all you guys, and we talked to TIA, Thomas in Action, a couple of times, and he's contributed on our blog. The others we'd either heard of or connected with at some point, but it really kind of brought us all together as the hair guys. And I saw a bunch of comments on that video, like, you guys are like the long hair Avengers. And it was a community building project, which we really appreciated, and we were pumped on the outcome. So, hey, thanks again for inviting us on that. And it was pretty damn fun making our clip for the video.
Yeah, we gotta do it. We gotta do something else. We gotta figure out the next collab, because that was a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, dude, 100%, man. Well, there's one huge collab that could be happening in several years from now. Now, I think there's rumblings that, you've mentioned you might be down for it, but about the Great Cut. You know what we did in 2019. I've heard you say you're going to donate your hair. Is it going to go down in 2024 at the Great Cut? Or
how do we get this guy?
What do we got to do?
I've been hinting at donating my hair for a while. I haven't said when or where yet. But I have been planning on participating in 2024. So that's definitely going to be on my agenda, the Great Cut. We'll see how long my hair gets by then, doing my regular maintenance trims and whatnot. I would love to donate, what's the minimum that you guys usually
no
have?
Maximum.
8 inches is the maximum. They're really looking for donations for 12 to 14 inches because those donations help make the longer wigs, which most of the girls or the kids, especially the little girls, want longer hair in their wigs. So the longer donations are far more valuable, but 8 inches is the minimum.
But the 8 inches, just so everyone can understand, those go towards a male piece.
Usually.
Okay.
Typically. So.
Or if the little girls,
so it'll be like a
shorter
hair prosthetic.
Yes,
which is the correct term. For it.
Wait, so why aren't they giving the 14 inches to the boys? They don't want.
No, I mean they'll use it as like if there's like excess or something like that. But to make like a beautiful wig for the females, they're
Right.
really looking for those longer lengths.
Yeah, no, I was just kidding. I was like, wait, why can't a little boy have long hair?
Yeah.
We do know actually of one of the little boys that was helped by children with hair loss, and he was inspiration to us, and he had been provided with a hair prosthetic with locks, and it was just a great look. I mean, he's just a handsome little boy. What a kid. We were blown away by him. Unfortunately, he is not with us any longer. But that was one example. So they will provide the longer hair prosthetics for the boys if they ask for them.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
totally.
What charity do you guys work with?
Children with hair loss.
Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, because I was researching different charities, and I wanted it to go directly to a charity that specifically helps kids and suffering from hair loss from chemo or cancer or whatever they're going through.
Yeah.
And some of the charities I found, like, they actually like sell their wigs. They don't actually like, it doesn't go directly to them.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm glad that's where the Great Cut will be going. That's really cool.
We've really dove in depth right when we started a partnership and over the years and learning our experience. But Children with Hair Loss is just an outstanding organization. They have never denied any child who has put in an application. They have never charged a child or their family or required guest appearances or that they purchased follow-up or something. They're just very transparent, and they're all about helping the kids. And our partnership with them has been exceptional, and I think really valuable in both directions. But we can't speak highly enough about Children with Hair Loss. I
mean, we're very close with their team too. We've met a ton of the kids. We've been to their headquarters for twice, and their charity ball. We have a great video wrapping up the charity ball. If you haven't seen it, we'll send it to you after.
Yeah, would love to see it. Yeah,
scope it out. But a big differentiator for them too is they provide the children a free hair replacement every year until they're 21. So let's say a child starts when they're 8, they have the option to get a new one every year. And the company that actually makes the hair prosthetics is called John Renault, and they're out here in San Diego. And we've got pretty close with them. They're just another great organization doing great things. And you want to talk about like an amazing facility. We went to their new headquarters, and like, I had no idea that wigs, hair replacements, the prosthetics, the extensions, anything you can think about hair is so big. We were in this like 40,000 square foot freaking warehouse, bro, covered
crazy
with hair.
Racks.
Racks. I mean, so organized. They'd be like, oh, you want blonde 9.5 inches with tones of brunette. And then it's like, aisle 8. XB. And you're like, what? This is insane.
They got like a Dewey Decimal System for hair going.
Yeah. Awesome. Dude, it is really nuts. And they deal with the real hair and the synthetics, so they like have that all kind of separated too. But man, they know hair over there at John Renault.
They know hair.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, well, I'm excited to participate. And so if I'm not local to San Diego, how do I, if I'm in a different city, participate in the Great Cut?
Well, if you can't make it to the actual event, thank God it's 4 years from now, and a lot's going to change.
Yeah.
Like, we probably won't be dealing with
COVID madness will be done.
Yeah, exactly. So we really want to urge everyone to make it to the event, because that's what we're going to have a big event on a certain date where we're going to go for the record again. All the kids are going to come. Children with Hair Loss will be there. We'll have vendors and games and bands and stage and
magic.
Dude, I gotta make it.
Magic.
Dude, the last one.
I'm gonna come out there and like vlog the whole thing. I gotta come now.
Totally, man. Yeah. And we'll, the guys will be pumped to see you too, because a lot of the people who are gonna show up to this, like, just we know from our last one, like, dude, so many people flew from all over the country and even all over the world to San Diego to participate in that event. And like
Very cool.
when they come up to us like, "Oh, Moreno, what up?" And I'm like, "Dude, what up? What's your name, man? Where you from?" They're like, "Bro, I've been watching YouTube and reading your blogs and that." And it's just like so crazy to like,
Yeah,
it was
you have a
magical.
you have a headbang moment together.
It was absolutely magical.
It was.
There were, I think, close to 12 or 1,300 people at the event, so it wasn't massive, but that's still a pretty big amount. Lots of other people, to your question, did our mail-in donation option. So for people who couldn't make it, there was a mail-in option that still went straight to children with hair loss. But meeting the guys in person and the energy, and of course there were lots of women and children and families and all kinds of people donated their hair, and we were grateful. I mean, eternally grateful to all of them, but the biggest impact for us was the guys who have been commenting on our YouTube videos and replying to our emails for years, and then we meet them in person. Like, "Dude, I'm here to cut my hair. I can't believe I just got here from Philadelphia. Holy shit, man, we're doing it."
Dude, we had the furthest was Taiwan, right? No,
Oh wow.
Thailand. Matt Totten, who was in the oil industry and dropped out, not so dissimilar from your story,
yeah,
Trav.
exactly.
BP guy, dropped out, traveled the world, grew his hair out, cut 24 inches, full circle, growing it back out, back in Thailand.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's probably my goal too, is like 20 to 24 inches. I think that'd be really cool to donate.
Yes. Full max donate.
Yeah, dude. It was.
Yeah. And so, okay, so what's the exact date again?
Well, we haven't set the exact date, but it's probably going to be in March of 2024.
All right, cool. So
we got
my daughter, who's going to be born here in November, she'll be 3 by then. So that'd be really cool.
Dude, yes.
To like bring her out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dude, we had full families of 5, mom, dad, and 4 kids came from Boston. Family of 6, all the way from Boston. All 5 out of 6 of them cut their hair, and there were many, many stories like that. Yeah. So your baby girl and your family will absolutely be welcome.
Dude, perfect segue too, because we wanted to ask you about that. You know, about to be a dad.
Yeah,
about to be a long-haired dad. I know what that's like. I've been there, but what's
and a girl dad.
You know, I got 2 girls. I've been where you're at right now before, but what's going on? How you feeling out there? How's how things coming along with the house? The wife doing good? What's going on? Give us the update.
Yeah, so I'm terrified, but I'm excited at the same time. You know, like she's kicking every day. She's super healthy, thankfully. Like every doctor's appointment we've been to, there have been no issues thus far. So my wife is now, she's in her 3rd trimester. She's awesome. She'll be 30 weeks on Saturday, I believe. Okay. And yeah, every week we get closer to 38. Like we're just like, okay, awesome. Like there's almost a full term. So we're very, very in. She's doing really well so far. And the house wise, like we're getting her room ready. We have most of I wouldn't say we have everything we need yet, but we have most of the things we need in terms of like car seats and strollers. And my wife is she was a Montessori teacher for like 3 or 4 years.
Awesome.
And so we want to do like kind of Montessori her room out. Which, are you guys familiar with Montessori at all?
I'm not.
I'm a little bit. My wife is a teacher as well, so I am a little familiar. But yeah, go ahead.
Bring us up to speed.
Expand for the people.
Well, I'm definitely not the Montessori expert, but from what I understand, it's in a Montessori school and is very different from like an infant Montessori setup at home. But my wife taught ages 3 to 6, and basically Montessori is like guided learning where kids can kind of pick what they want to do and they don't have really a curriculum. However, it's still structured where it's almost like, you play a game of chess and there's rules to the game of chess, but within those rules, you can move the pieces wherever you want. You can move the rook and the bishop and the pawn. Like you can move into any space, but you have to follow the rules. Basically, same with Montessori. The child can do whatever they want. They can pick to build blocks. They can pick, to learn to write, or they can pick to count from, however long they can count. They decide what they want to do, but they're still within a structure. And it basically is almost like a child-led, teacher-guided education experience, where they don't really follow an exact, you have to learn this way, just to sort of allow kids to explore their creative freedom from a really young age. And there's a lot of research behind Montessori. Maria Montessori was the founder of it. And so we're trying to sort of Montessori her nursery here at home, where she has like guided structured freedom. And that's the best I can explain it. My wife's much more educated at this stuff. She like got a degree in it, certification in it. She knows a lot more about it than I do.
Awesome.
But from what I understand, that's kind of what it is. And that's what we're trying to do here at home with her nursery, and eventually with her education too.
Dude, fantastic, man. Fantastic. Yeah, it's a big life eye opener, obviously going through the process you're going through right now, but then the actual birth and what you're going to experience there. I don't know what depends what your birth plan is. Everybody's going to be a little different and stuff, but that's just such an amazing, powerful thing, especially for your first kid. For your second kid, at least for me, what was really weird is like I had a total different emotional experience with my second child than I did my first. And I honestly, I thought, I was like thinking, because I had kind of been there, done that, whatever, the first time. And the first child was such a huge ordeal. It was so much. And the birth was just it went on for hours and hours. And my wife had such a hard time. There was like, some little bit of issues, and we had to pivot from our birth plan and like all this stuff. It's like a huge thing. And then when we had the second child, that baby came out within 1 hour of being at the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
And like just watching it all happen, I didn't have like this same crazy emotional experience that I did with my first. And I was like, I was immediately asking myself, like, what do I not love this kid as much as my first kid? Like, why don't I feel the same way as I did with my first kid? I feel like I should feel like the same way, then a day goes by and I'm like, okay, no, I mean, I got the rest of my life with this kid. Come on.
Right.
It on the first moment, but dude, really excited for you. It's so beautiful. It's such a great, it's just, you can't explain it until it happens to you. So you're about to go through it, and what you're about to go through is just phenomenal. And then not only that, like seeing that life come into the world, but that now actually being a dad and living up to whatever it is it means for you to be a dad, what moral level you keep yourself at, which is who you want to be as a man, and then how that transforms into you being a father is just an awesome journey. And, as each month goes by and that little baby gets older and bigger and is moving and doing more, you're just going to start really understanding every day how much like everything you do is influencing that little life. And like, it's such a powerful thing. It's so beautiful. And the love is incredible. Let me ask you this. Have you felt this? Because I always knew my parents loved me. I never felt like they didn't love me, but until I had my own kid, and really when my wife was pregnant, because I was already in love with that little baby in there, like, did I actually really understand how much my parents love me? Have you felt that?
I have, yeah. And in fact, I was just telling my wife, like today, like I do a meditation practice. I try to do one every day. And today was, it's called metta, which is like loving kindness practice, meditation.
Yeah.
And in today's meditation, it's a guided one. And they're like, imagine someone in your life who you care about deeply, and not a romantic partner, but somebody who you want them to be happy and you want them to be free from suffering. And like instantly my mind went to Della, like my daughter, that's her name. And I just had this very, very overwhelming emotional moment, and I started tearing up, and I was like, she's not even here yet, and I'm already so in love with this girl. Like that my life is about to change forever.
Yeah.
It was a really emotional experience doing that practice. That, yeah, today was like a big eye opener of like, wow, this is a new sort of unconditional love that now I know how my parents felt about me.
Yeah.
And it's something I've never experienced before. And also a very, like, I've always considered it's weird, like the journey a guy goes on through like manhood and, you know, becoming, you know, whatever man he wants to be. And I've always still sort of considered myself a student and like young and a boy almost. And it's not until I'm venturing into fatherhood that I'm like, wow, like I really need to develop myself into this really, you know, strong man and like someone who can protect and provide and be there for my family. And becoming a father, I think, is one of the ultimate kind of shove into that direction. Like you're like, now it's like you got to step up. Like you have to be, man, you know yourself, that you see the ideal image in your head that you see of who that man is. Like you need to try to become that every day. And I know it's like nobody's perfect. You're not gonna become a perfect human, but I think the effort is what counts. The effort, and at least making the attempt to get closer to that every day. Yeah. And having that be your intention. And I think that's what's important. And that's what I've been really striving to do ever since I found out I had a kid on the way. That's been my goal, like every single day, is to do something. And it could be something small. It doesn't matter. But as long as I'm making progress towards becoming that, you know, ideal image that I have in my mind, at least of how a father should be and what a man should be, like that's what I've been working towards. And it's been a roller coaster ride, I'll tell you, but it's been awesome so far. Yeah.
Dude, man, well said. Fucking awesome. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm real excited for everything you got coming your way. Let me tell you what, it's worth it. It's so worth it. And you're going to be fine. So just hang in. You're just going to hang in and you're good. You're good to go. You got the right mindset. You're solid.
I guess that's all that counts, is the right mindset.
Totally.
So, hey, man, a question we ask all of the long-haired brethren that we bring on the show. So we all have some little annoyances and a little pain when the hair gets in your eye or down your throat or whatever it might be. But long hair problems, what kind of long hair problems do you experience? And do you have any unique tricks or hacks to get past some of the the more unsavory parts of having long hair?
Yeah. I mean, some of the there's going to be really kind of simple answers, but some of the most annoying things are like putting on like a bag over my shoulder, and especially when my hair's down, it's like gets hot like that.
Yeah.
Or
know that one.
The wind is like my worst nightmare when my hair's down. And also when I'm like filming a video or talking on camera or doing something like this, it always finds its way like into my mouth, and I'm just like I always having to spit hair out of my mouth.
It's that beard, dude. You got the Velcro beard. You got the Velcro.
That's what it is. It is the beard. That I've come to realize, that the beard is like, because hair has like a static charge, right? And like the polarity, like, so when your beard hair and your head hair kind of attract and connect to each other, it's like, oh my gosh. And I'll film a whole video and I had a hair like this for like the whole time. I'm like, damn it, I'm not gonna re-film this whole thing. But honestly, the only solution that I've really found is or like even when I'm sleeping, like when it gets caught, is to like just tie it up lightly, or like put it in a little, like a little, what's it called when you wrap the two together? It's not a braid, it's like a It's called something else. I can't even remember it right now.
I know what you're talking about. I haven't mastered it, nor do I know the name of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where like a braid, but there's only
It's
2 strands, and you
fishtail?
kind of twist them together.
Not a fishtail.
No, not a fishtail, but yeah, there's only 2. But that's been really helpful for sleeping. And I'll take, instead of a hair tie, I'll take a key, the stretchy key ring thing. It's like a,
Oh yeah.
loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are like really gentle on your hair. It won't break as much. So when you do the 2 and then put that around, it's real easy to sleep. And then if I'm going out, especially in Texas, like I have to put my hair up or I'm going to just be drenched.
Sweat city.
Yeah.
So that helps with the wind. That helps with wearing a backpack. That helps with wearing bags. That helps with the hair not velcroing to my beard and eating my hair. So
Hey, has your hair growth journey affected the way that you approach style and fashion?
That's a good question.
Great question.
It hasn't, but that's not the same thing as it shouldn't. But I think the main reason it hasn't affected mine is because even when I had short hair, I've always had really edgy, like I've always kind of pushed the limits on fashion. I mean, not really, like I'm not like walking on runways in trash bags, but like what I mean is like I've always dressed a little edgier. I've always opted for Chelsea boots and ripped jeans and leather jackets. And instead of wearing your classic button down and chinos with boat shoes or whatever, but I've always been on the edgier side. And I think one thing I tell a lot of guys when they grow their hair out is that whatever their style, their grooming, and their fitness is at the moment, like long hair tends to amplify things. Like it tends to, so if you have an edgy style and then you have all of a sudden you add long hair to that, all of a sudden it's like amplified the edginess. And then if you have if you're like super fit, jacked, and then you have long hair, all of a sudden your jackedness is amplified. Like it's so weird.
It's true.
Yeah,
and
it
then
is.
if you have a gnarly beard, and then if you have long hair, all of a sudden like your beard is it's really.
Or if you're sloppy, or if you're unkempt.
Yeah.
Right.
That way too.
Rough around the edges. It makes you look 10 times more grungy.
Yeah.
Exactly. It goes both ways. And so, and it's a really interesting phenomenon on like how long hair it has this amplification effect. But no, I haven't changed my style, but my style has become more amplified. So I would always dress edgy. Excuse me, but now the edginess is a lot more amplified when I wear the same things that I wore when I had short hair. So a lot of people have been asking me to make a video on like outfits for long hair, but it's tough because like style is a very personal thing. And I don't think it really necessarily changes as your hair grows. I think it just amplifies whatever your style is. It just amplifies that more. For example, you see a guy with long hair and a high ball in a suit versus a guy with like a comb over in a suit.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden that suit, your eyes will just gravitate to the high ball with a suit, you know?
Yeah. Totally.
And so I don't think your style should change, but I think you definitely, here's the risk. You definitely need to know what your style is, because if you don't know what your style is, then you could amplify the wrong thing, and you could come off as a poser, or you come off as somebody that you're not. And now it's even more apparent. So really dialing in and knowing the message you want to send to the world with your clothing, and there's this guy I follow, Tanner Guzzi, has this style archetypes. You can take his quiz and like find out. It's really cool for discovering what your unique style is. But he divides them up into like 3 different archetypes. You have the rugged archetype, the rakish archetype, and the refined archetype. And basically like refined is like the suit and tie type of man, you know, the Wall Street banker, the lawyer, the guy who's basically like his status is financially driven and things like that. And then you have the rugged guy who he's sort of he's a hands-on type of guy. He fixes things. He's out in the wild. Like he wears a lot of denim and flannel and leather. And then you have the rakish guy, and the rakish guy is very sort of fashion forward, and he's more like his body is a canvas and his style, his clothing is like his paintbrushes or is like his art. And you know, you'll see like a lot of musicians, a lot of performers, you know, you think like David Bowie, you think like Pharrell, you think like a lot of these performers have these different styles because they're pushing the envelope on like what they're a trendsetter essentially, like what they push into new frontiers. All of a sudden people start, you know, imitating that. And so like, that's a really good starting point for your foundation of discovering sort of who you are. I'm like sort of refined, sort of rakish. And that's the other thing is like, you can be a myriad of these things. It's not like you have to land on one. You can have, you know, all three. You can have elements of all three in your style. For me, like, I wouldn't say I'm the most rugged guy. I'm definitely more along the lines of rakish. That's because my edginess of my style. And I also have my refined moments when I like to wear fitted button downs and suits and chinos and, you know, wingtip dress shoes versus like suede Chelsea boots. And so, I would say the risk you run into is when you grow your hair out is if you don't know your style, it might amplify the wrong thing about who you are. And so having that dialed in and knowing how you dress and who you are and the message you want to send, I think it'll work. Long hair just makes it better. It'll work in your favor.
Dude, get dialed is the takeaway.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, well said again, man. Yeah. You really articulate your concepts well.
Yeah, I think too, like where this would be a really kind of fun video is if, you know, Trav comes out here, we go to Austin or something, and we get like a kind of like a fashion makeover, you know, and talk about the same topic, like with the amplification of the hair and stuff. But like, so how our style over here, we're real beachy, you know? I mean, we're t-shirts, we're kind of shorts. I mean, when it's foggy, we wear jeans, and, you know, we try to look sharp, but we're not like super concerned with like having, I wouldn't say we even like can think about our style that often. Let's just put it that way. You know, we kind of just have our SoCal dude look, and that's kind of like our thing, you know? So like, it would be really fun to like explore like what you're talking about, the leather jackets, the ripped jeans, the boots, like all this stuff. Cause we don't really,
dude, I would love to give you guys, dude, Trav White gives the Longhairs a fashion makeover.
Dude,
dude, mega viral.
Let's make it happen.
Sick. Yeah,
that would be dope.
We need to do that
because you know, I was before I got into long hair YouTube, like my job was I was a men's stylist. Like I worked with clients locally here in Austin one-on-one, and I would rebuild their wardrobes for them and help them discover their unique style. So like, definitely. And I really want to get back to putting out style content on YouTube as well. There's just so much style content. Like I'm not necessarily the most original when it comes to that. But it's still something I love. I have a passion for it. So I don't want to just abandon it. And so I definitely want to get back to putting out fashion content on YouTube, but I would love to make that video for you guys. That'd be super fun.
Dude, we're in. It's on.
That'd
doing
be
it.
Great. We're doing it.
Long hair strike
awesome.
mission.
I think
Austin.
we need that.
Yeah, hey, we'd welcome it. I think we would welcome it.
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
Hey, so speaking of your content and your YouTube channel, just for everyone who's listening, can you refresh how we can connect with you? How can we follow you? Got your YouTube, your website. Give us the rundown.
It's Trav White everywhere. So YouTube is Trav White. Instagram is Trav_White_. My website is trav-white.com. Yeah, that's everything. It's really, I don't have Twitter. I try to stay away from Twitter. It's too toxic for me.
Good.
So yeah, I don't have Twitter. I've experimented a little bit with TikTok, but I haven't dove into it. But mainly I'm on Instagram, YouTube, and my website. Those are the main places you can find me.
You can also find him on 2 featured blog posts on the
That's right.
Longhairs blog. Stop making these 5 hair growth mistakes. And can you grow long hair with a receding hairline? An instant hit classic on the Longhairs blog. And definitely go check out both of those thorough, well-written articles that just really are a great fit within our content.
And more to come.
And many more to come. Next one, we're dialing up.
Yeah.
That's right.
I got one last final question before we send it off here is what's the future of the Trav White empire here?
Yes.
You know, where are you seeing this kind of go? You've done a really good job, I think, with your Facebook community, with your YouTube channel. You know, you've obviously found this niche. I'm happy we've linked up with you. I think both El Rubio and I, we want to keep doing work together with you. Who knows where that can go? So that's something. But like, what is it that you really want out of this? And where do you see yourself kind of landing, you know, because I feel like you really got an opportunity here in this arena. Like we've been fighting in this arena for 6 years. And then all of a sudden it was like Trav White has entered the octagon.
You're like, who the hell is this Trav White guy? Like, we've been in for 6 years and this random dude named Trav White just shows up. Like, what is happening right now?
Pumping science and research hair content. Onto the interweave.
I have some goals and dreams. I definitely would love to have some sort of physical product. I don't know what that quite looks like yet, whether that's like merch or a grooming line or something with, you know, oils or skincare or hats and coffee mugs. Like I really don't know what it quite looks like yet.
Yeah.
But I definitely would love to get some sort of physical product out and start building that. But I think ultimately my long-term goal is just keep putting out content that is valuable for people and that answers their questions. Cause I want to be that resource where people have this burning question and they've looked all over for the answer. And then they finally stumbled upon this video. Cause that's a lot of the comments I've been getting lately is like, dude, I've looked everywhere for this answer and finally like you answered it. Thank you. And like, I get filled with fulfillment when I can help somebody else that they've been struggling with something for so long and they finally have the answer to it. So ultimately, like, that's what I want to keep doing is providing that sort of value. And some sort of physical product. Yeah. I would say in the next 5 years, like the next year, you'll definitely see something going on, but over the long term, the next 5 years, like, I definitely want to build something. I haven't landed exactly on what that's going to be, but yeah, that's sort of my next step where I'm going with it.
Hell yes, man. If you keep providing value, then you'll always be relevant. Mm-hmm. You always have you always have a chance. You always have an opportunity if people continue to look for you for advice and guidance and knowledge.
And whenever that, we can say this from our own personal experience, whenever that idea hits you, whatever that product is, and when you put it out there, you're going to be able to instantly make sales day one because you've built that trust, you know, you've built your lane with that content creation.
And
so
I think
you're doing the right things, man.
That's the other fear is like, I'll be putting my name behind something that I obviously have a really high standard when it comes to even just creating content. And, you know, let's say it's a, you know, grooming line or something, like the ingredients that will go into that and the formulations. Like if I'm going to put my name behind something, I need to be 1000% confident in the formula and in what goes into that product. And so that's, I think, not necessarily a fear, but it's like exciting, but it's also like, all right, I got to nail this if I'm going to do it. I can't I can't half-ass it. I can't,
absolutely.
You know, this has to be something that is is epic, or I might as well not even try, So, but you guys honestly have been a huge inspiration for me. When I first started creating long hair content, I stumbled upon your blog and I was like, holy crap, like this is a gold mine. Like there's so much awesome info here. And I even started reading about, like your advocate part of your website on like, kids who have gotten kicked out of schools for not cutting their hair. And I was like, dude, this is like a real thing. And I didn't know any of that stuff until I landed on your blog. And so you guys have been a huge inspiration for me too. I know, so I don't want to downplay anything you guys have done. You guys have done an amazing job of getting the word out and putting out quality products and quality content. And your Shark Tank episode really inspired me. So, hats off to you guys for leading the charge for sure.
Dude, it's awesome.
Dude, just speaking to more of us now doing long hair content and more people paying attention. I think more guys growing their hair long is more guys growing more hair is more good for all of us. And we all have different, like we talked about earlier, different personalities, different approach, different whatever.
Yeah.
But we all are still advocating for the same thing and offering guidance or knowledge or information or whatever it may be. It's good for all of us.
Yeah.
And the more guys who are watching your videos is better for everyone. And the same thing for us. And we are making it okay to have long hair again.
Right.
And it has not been okay for many decades. And not just okay, but making it fucking cool.
Which is real. It just boggles my mind because it's, I put out a video on like the history of long hair on men.
Yeah.
And men have had long hair longer than they've had short hair.
Yes.
Totally.
Like, hands down.
Easy.
There's no,
by millennia.
By millennia. Like men have had long hair longer than men have had short hair. So it's not even like when people say like, they make stupid comments like that. I'm just like, all right, let's ignore that. Like it does. Like they obviously don't know what they're talking about. So, man, like I think that a rising tide raises all boats. So success for you is success for everyone in the industry.
Yes.
Success for me is success for you. And I think that that's more like, that's the key, honestly, for like success in anything is having that abundance mindset and everybody wins,
Absolutely, man. And we're going to obviously be connected and continue to be collabing and working together over the years to come here. But man, thank you so much for coming on the show. We wish you the best in everything you have going on in your life right now, because you have a lot and it's awesome. And the way you're handling it, I think, is absolutely perfect. And just keep sticking your path, man. You're doing the right thing, and we're here to support you. And we're so fired up that Trav White just laid it down and let it ride.
He is the style guy with the dialed mane. Trav White. Thanks for letting it ride with the long hairs. I think we're all equally inspired and pumped by this get together, and there's going to be more to come. Spoken like a true gentleman and a long hair. You're a scholar and a champion, Trav.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. You guys rock, man. Thanks for having me on the show. Let's do this again. Like, I can't wait to link up.
For sure.
All right, man. Until next time.
Cool.